The eyes of the farmers followed me and my siblings through the beds of soil, scanning closely, and I don't understand why. Everything turned suspicious.
No! I have a family! Please! Spare me!
Someone shrieked from the back. I can turn my body around to look. What is happening? Suddenly, there were icy fingers that gripped my body, and in the blink of an eye, I was uprooted from my home for 3 years. The memories brought tears to my eyes. I remembered the soil bed where me and my siblings grew up. It has herbicides, insecticides, and fertilizers, and the soil beds were free from weeds and other plants. We were so pampered at that time. What happened now? I was tossed in a large container filled with pineapples I've never seen and communicated with before. Did they come from a different lot? I wonder. I kept my silence for some time and tried to compose myself. Is this the great end that the older generation told us about? Hmm, it seems like it. I was in deep thoughts when the farmer shouted.
Oh, puno na to. Next batch na.
I did not understand what that meant. All I know is that they're taking away our grounds. We were all lined up in no particular order, and within a second, we became ordinary Ananas comosus. No crown to prove our nobleness. We were moved to a platform and arranged neatly. Suddenly, I felt the platform moving, and we were covered in darkness. We were moving for what felt like an eternity. The journey was not easy. There were bumps on the road, we were disarranged, there was chaos. And then it just stopped. I breathed a sigh of relief, thinking that that was the end of it. But it wasn't. There was more to come, something that I failed to consider. I thought that a journey was the end, but the thing was, it was just the beginning of the end. The darkness disappeared. They removed us from the platform and had us moving along what seemed to be conveyor belts. We moved forward, then left, and forward. Then I heard a familiar noise. The noise of running water. I looked forward to it. I remember the days back at the farm when water was poured on me and I would feel refreshed and recharged and ready to seize the day. However, as I looked onward, I see others my kind being squeezed between rotating bars of steel. It was terrifying. It became my turn, and I landed and started floating with others my kind. Consecutive splashes could be heard as we fell to what seemed to be a pool of water. But upon closer inspection, it was not water. It was chlorine. We are being washed and sprayed with chlorine. Lots of chlorine. All of a sudden, we are being dried and moving by a conveyor belt again. I could feel the grasp of cold metal against me and those beside me as I was being rolled away. It took a really long time to be rolling like that. And the next thing I knew, I was only left with my flesh. I had no idea where my peelings went. All the eyes had covered my flesh, the eyes that defined who we were, the eyes that made us unique from the eyes of others. Now all that's left is just yellow flesh. The interior of my body, my core, was also removed. And I don't know what will I turn to become. How will I end up after this process? Because it breaks me, knowing that I would never be able to return to the likeness of my old self. With what is left with my entirety, I entered another line of belts. This time, I am in humans, wearing what seemed like an apron, gloves, hairnet, and a mask. They are standing on the sides of the belt, checking my body for any leftover skin and removing it with a knife. After the cold metal knife left my body, I am moving in a narrow metal slide. We are moving slowly and slowly. All of a sudden, We are now entering a weird-looking technology labeled as pineapple cylinder slicing machine. Darkness. All I can see is darkness. Darkness and I just closed my eyes to keep myself from getting scared and seeing the worst. But when I opened my eyes, my body was turned into thin slices of rings. With what felt like 1,200 seconds, my life totally changed from being a crowned noble into naked rings, where the riper, darker, and sweeter part of my disentangled body went straight into a sterilized tin. After I was forced into a tin can, I was showered with syrup. I heard from these people that this is a packaging medium composed of citric acid, sugar, and soft water. But they are adding acid, so I don't know what to think about when they are adding acid to my ringed body. Immediately, the can that I am in was exhausted. I felt suffocated as the air escaped from the can. Then I heard the sound of metal equipment chanting.
Sim, sim, sim.
I knew that the tin can will be sealed by these fast machines, maybe by mechanically interlocking the body and the lid. Afterwards, from the inside, I felt like I was being cooked, and I suddenly heard someone saying,
Iyang continuous rotating cooker ang madalas namin ginagamit sa pagproseso ng mga pinya. In order to ensure the safety of our consumers, the canned product should be given a heat process sufficient to attain a temperature of 91 degrees Celsius in the coldest point in the can.
"Who is this person explaining to?" After what felt like summer, I felt somewhat cooled while hearing something splashing from outside. I think the can is being cooled and washed. Then I heard the sound of something blowing like a dryer. Lastly, I remembered the sound of stamping and rustling papers. Maybe they're labeling this can with its shelf life and other necessary information for the consumers. This whole process, it stripped me of what I thought as my identity. But I just hope that I gave up my crown as Ananas comosus to serve my purpose of providing a safe, nutritious, and convenient pineapple for these species called Homo sapiens sapiens. Thank you for listening to my story, and this is the end.